Tonight, see what truly exists inside the world of the paranormal. Inside. Join the discussion and review some of the best paranormal evidence captures from a wide variety of experienced and up-and-coming investigators. See and hear what they capture, where they captured it, and how they captured it. Right now on Entity Voices Paranormal Evidence.
And 3.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back.
Yeah.
Entity Voices Paranormal Evidence. Y'all know who we are.
Yeah, Christoph. Christoph Allgod. Welcome back. It's nice to be back.
Yes, it is.
Nice to be back. How you guys been?
Busy.
We've been good. Busy. Yeah.
Yeah. Busy, but good busy, you know.
How about you guys?
Oof. We've been busy. We went to Phoenix for a week, came back last
Thursday.
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
And then
Whatever day it was.
Friday, we went to work Thursday and Friday. And that Friday afternoon, I was out at the Montgomery house fixing stuff. And then PPIT was out there with their new investigator Saturday night.
Yeah, Michaela came out.
Technically, we were there till 2, but right as it hit 2, it was 1. So technically, we were there till 1, maybe 2. The time change kind of kicked it back. So
how many hours?
We met them for dinner at 7. Got to the house about 8:30, and we headed out, which should have been 2, but the time change kicked it back to 1.
Yeah.
So we got home about technically 2:45, but by the time we got home, it was 1:45.
Yeah. It was like.
I'm mainly trying to figure out how many hours with a restroom you went with that one.
Oh no, we don't go without a restroom. It's called the Woods.
Not this girl.
Well, I went without the restroom.
Yeah. So yeah.
I'll fix this.
You guys are muted.
No, there you go.
What's that?
It muted right in the middle of you talking.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were there for a while.
Yeah, only about 6 hours. That's pretty normal for me. I can go 6 hours without.
But they got some. They're gonna be on. They're gonna be on next week with evidence reveal from a private home investigation where we went in with them and did the blessing of the house and did the investigation with them. And they're actually, spoiler alert, the homeowner's going to be on with them.
That's
cool.
neat.
So
Well, that's good.
Yeah, so that'll be a new thing that we've never done before. So, and then they'll be back on a couple weeks after that with the Montgomery house reveal, and they've caught some really good shit that Saturday night. I can't tell you what it is, but there's one photo that Scott caught that was just phenomenal.
That's cool. Not the first time for him there either.
No. Very similar to the first one, but in a different. It was outside instead of inside, so it's a really cool photo.
What's up, Antoine?
And then you recently got to hang out with the Rathmans too.
Yes, we got to hang out with the Rathmans when we were in Phoenix, seeing our grandbaby. Yeah,
That's cool. Old stomping grounds.
Yep. State 48.
Yeah. Like old times.
Got to see the Diamondbacks get their ass kicked while we're there.
Oh yeah. So one good game, and then the rest were not good. Unfortunately.
Hey, well, I want to give a shout out to Roger.
Yeah.
Roger always shows up about 55 minutes before the show starts and sits on YouTube and waits. Roger forgot about the time change because Roger's in Arizona that doesn't observe daylight savings time. Roger clocked in at 6 o'clock.
Oh.
Wow.
So technically, he's been out for 2 hours now waiting for the show to start.
I hope you had some good drinks there, Roger.
Right?
There he is.
Yeah.
How about the Rathmans?
Dose Rathmans.
Oh, we've had some busy weeks. We did, well, Well, we actually did an event, Staticom event at Roger's work, which I think you'll get to see a clip of. And then the next week, we went to Orpheum Theater and did an event there. And then the next day, we went to the Superstitions Mountain Museum and did an event there. So it was very productive last couple of weekends.
So it was eventful.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn right.
Yeah.
By definition, holy cow.
Yeah, you know, there were smaller ones and there were larger ones, but it was all good, so no complaints.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and they actually did the Orpheum when we were in Phoenix. Unfortunately, we couldn't join them, but man, I have wanted to investigate that place for years.
We had never been in there either. That place is awesome.
Oh, we've been in there for
We've been
shows.
in there, but not to investigate.
It looks
We've
awesome.
been in for shows, and I've
Gorgeous.
sat there the whole time during the show going,
You just can't get over how big it
Yeah.
is. It doesn't look like that from the outside, but when you step on that stage and it's just, I mean, they've got clouds and stuff on the ceiling, and I mean, it looks like it's, you know, 50 to 100 feet tall. It's not, but it gives that impression when you're in there. It's a really cool place. Really.
and that theater's been there since Horse and Wagon, early 1900s.
1920s, I think. Yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, it looked beautiful. I mean, we looked at it, and it looked like the Ritz Theater in South Jersey that we go to, but bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roger.
I know.
We hope to meet him and work with him one time too. That'd be cool.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He really is a great guy.
Yeah, missed meeting him, that's for sure. He could
Yeah,
come
he was at the Orpheum with us. He was at his work event, of course, and then he was at Superstition Mountains with us too. So it was cool.
Nice. Yep.
Oh,
Well, next time we're there, even if we don't investigate, you'll have to come have a drink with us.
Yeah.
I'll go out.
Absolutely.
and we had a 2-week break, right, since the last time we did a show.
Oh yeah.
So I think since the last show we did the Liberty Science Center,
Right.
which is the largest planetarium in America. They say it's huge. We were in the other theater, but the theater is beautiful. Then the next night we did that PH Steakhouse with
That's
Rich
what we
Michelle,
did.
the Bandoffs, our Tally,
Mhm.
Jenny, Full Moon,
Full moon.
which was amazing. That place was really good. They had groups cycling through. And then last past weekend, we did Friday night. We went to the VIP party for the New Jersey Para Unity Expo, which is an amazing expo. And you look at it one year and you go, nobody can top this. And then they do it the next year.
Yeah.
They top it again. So the VIP was cool because for us, that's when we get to hang out and talk to everybody. I was telling Lourdes, it's funny because we're so isolated. Like you're working with so many amazing people from the shows. The Ghost Brothers were there, Dave Schrader, John Zaffis, the Wraith Chasers. But once the expo starts, you don't really get to interact with anybody unless you go walk around because they can't really come. You know, they have people waiting to see them. Project Fear was there. But we did do 2 days. They made it 2 days this year. And we did Staticom closed door sessions 12, 1, 2, 3, and 4 o'clock both days.
Wow.
And you know the concept behind the Digital Seance Initiative, and then when I put stories in the book, well, the By George guy that had his wife come through 2 years in a row, he was there, but we didn't get to see him too much. But we had, I would say, 7 of the 10 sittings had somebody in tears with something coming through from somebody that they lost that was very proprietary that they would only know. And I was like, all right, if it happened a couple times, once or twice, I'd be like, that's fantastic. It happened 7 times.
And we've
Wow.
been getting emails of people listening to their recordings and finding stuff that relates
Yeah.
to them.
Like I just read this to her before. The one lady said, "I greatly thank you for your work and how you brought this message to my family. Life changing for our family because somebody came through and was naming people in the family and stuff. And they said they were impressed seeing what it was doing for other people when they heard stuff for them. So I don't have too much from that weekend. I threw one or two quick, very short ones in there that happened that were kind of funny the way they happened. But some of these we still have to we still have to listen to. The one lady had a little knitted bonnet for her child died, I think, shortly after birth. And specific things, and mommy and stuff was coming through. And then Lourdes heard the child's name.
As she's telling us, what happened, her loss and everything. And this little voice comes through and it goes, Johnny. And I said, I just heard the name Johnny. And she goes, that was his name.
That was it.
Wow.
That was it. Yeah. And that's when she pulled out the stuff that she carries around of his. So that was.
But the paranormal isn't real.
No,
Doesn't exist.
clearly not. And Tony and I are doing our best with electronics to prove that there's nothing to it.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's going completely the opposite way.
Yeah, we're failing at failing it.
We're failing at failing it, right?
Yeah, it was crazy. A couple people, Robert Banda from Barefoot took a few minutes to come back and see us. John Zappis came back just to see us. I gave him a copy of the book because he was kind enough to write the forward for the last book. Sold some books, which was awesome.
What books did you happen to be talking about, Ron?
The Paranormalization, Memoirs of an Academic Layperson. It came out a couple weeks ago. Sold a nice handful of them, which was cool. It's always humbling to me when other people who are like experienced investigators show up at these things and then buy the book. I'm almost like, are you sure? It's the one cool thing was you'll see we have a clip in here. We interacted. We became good friends with Ronnie LeBlanc from Expedition Bigfoot, who's really cool. And then at the end of the day on Sunday, Dave Schrader came back and he listened to 10 minutes of Staticom live and he had a conversation. He goes, "Can you send me that?" I was like, "Yeah." He had the conversation in about a 10-minute spot. And I showed him a clip real fast. And then he was like, "All right, so we're going to talk." But it was good, man. It was good. So I think we were a little bit jazzed too because we saw Tony's. Oh, thank you. Look at that. We saw Tony's stuff that he was doing. When you see Tony on stage at a place like Orpheum and he's walking around, like I've seen children look disappointed in comparison at Disney World.
Yeah, he looks so excited. I love seeing it.
Yeah.
Well, it's amazing when Staticom does what it can do, and it truly is going to be the next step in spirit communication because what we know we can get, what we've captured, what we've shown, what we continue to show, what's going to be shown tonight. It's groundbreaking. And that to me is super exciting because that hasn't happened in 50, 60 years. There hasn't been a forward step. So that gets me excited. No doubt about it. And to see people's reactions and have them ask questions and get answers and the look on their face is amazing.
Yeah. So it is a gentleman named John Harris we met, who's a very seasoned investigator. He came by and he commented on a post from the expo on the banner picture they were advertising. And the posters for the whole expo, but he wrote absolutely the most interesting demonstration of ITC, game-changing things going on, and can't wait to see us again because he's going to be at Hanover when we were there in January. So game-changing is something we hear a lot. Groundbreaking, obviously interesting. It's like we say all the time, like I never saw this coming. We just started listening to the white noise and trying to do it. Let me put it in simpler terms. A little Italian guy saw videos of another little Italian guy talking to ghosts using white noise and said, "Hey, I wonder if I can do that. I am also a little Italian guy." Flash forward, those Rathmans, those morons, quattro communicado. So it's really cool, man. I didn't see any of this coming. 4 books and all this stuff, and I'm excited to see Tony's stuff. I could care less about mine tonight because we haven't seen it, and
I'm looking forward to
he ain't smiling because the shit didn't work.
I don't even remember what I clipped because it was so late when I clipped them. There's good responses, but I honestly don't even remember what I took. And
it just says Orpheum 1 through 5 is what we have.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
Enough for me. That's good enough for me. We came back from the expo, 2 days of it, and we came back. We had stayed at my dad's house because he was 25 minutes closer, so we didn't have to drive all the way back and forth and not waste money on a hotel. And when I realized we were going to do our own stuff tonight, I I got on the computer as soon as I got home from 2 days at an expo and clipped a few more things. So we had it. Brad Cooney, yes, and we took a picture with. Yes, is on its way, Mr. Ert, on its way.
Mr.
Mr. Ronald Ert, ERRT.
Ronald Ert.
Groundbreaking and healing, Gio. That's true. I know Tony has experienced that. Him and Cherie, we experienced it 7 out of 10 sessions, if not 8, maybe, in this past weekend.
That's the best part of it. I just love giving those people those moments. I mean, I guess we don't do it; the spirits do it. But we're happy to be a part of it.
Raul.
And giving those people those moments is the best feeling.
Raul was with us at PH Steakhouse when we did the.
Yes, Raul.
Yep, Raul. He's always fun to work with. He gets good activity when he's around.
Yeah.
One of the seance sittings at the expo too, Scott Davis, the New Jersey medium. Yeah, Scotty Medium. Yep. So Scotty Davis posted about a child coming through with the mother. That's the one she was just talking about with the little baby bonnet thing.
That was crazy.
If you get the opportunity, and this is really probably a directive for Tony, with a really talented medium who's good interacting with the people and who can weave in and out of your process and not run parallel to it or competitive with it, but kind of Scott Davis is a master at that. He got people centered around in front of where the speaker was, so their energy was more concentrated. He was reading off people and he was dialoguing with spirit. It was amazing. He added so much. I'm not sure that moment we just talked about would have happened if he wasn't with us. I mean, it was amazing.
It's like Staticon works well with him.
It really does.
Yeah, because he works well with it. It's true. He's really good medium and a good person.
That's my next book, Scott, by the way. A little Italian guy talks to the unknown. It's a pop-up book.
A short pop-up book.
I love watching Scotty Muscle Black. Yeah,
yep, we do too.
Scott Davis is one of the best mediums I've seen and worked with in doing this almost 15 years, whatever, 12, 13 years. And he absolutely, I think, had a lot to do with that session being that good. So I highly recommend if you have the opportunity with a medium like that to weave them into the process, almost have them lead the discussion with the people. If they ask questions, asking the questions, he was getting stuff and then it would come out.
And then it would come out through Staticom. Yep.
Which
cool.
we know with a closed circuit system, there's no way that it's hearing him or something can repeat what he's saying.
Right.
Correct.
And actually, that's what it was doing. Remember, I don't remember what the words were. He was saying something to the one lady when he was reading something, and then the spirit coming through the speaker was repeating what he was saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It was crazy because as she's talking, it was something with I think Jackie, which I don't remember what that was, in relation to her.
Yeah.
But as she's talking, then the name Mary came out, and she goes, "That's my name." And we were like, "Oh, okay." And we're still talking. And then she starts talking about her loss. And then the child's name came out. It was, and Scotty was part of it because, he's talking to her and giving her what, he's feeling. And it was an amazing moment.
That mother-daughter, it says about food and something about family business. And then they named Krista and Christine and whatever like that. And that was their names. And then it was their grandfather's, I think, business or something originally. And we said, what was the name of it? And it said Andy's Lighthouse. And that was the business.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like.
Then it kept saying meatballs. I was like, "You guys sell meatballs?" And she's like, "No." I said, "Well, maybe you should because meatballs."
I started rolling.
Yeah. So 2 very important things to point out on top of that, and then we'll get rolling. One, we could not have had the successful exhibit. And this is the room we had with the monster banner. Anthony Simonelli was with us the whole day, and it could not have been as good, as much fun or successful. We called him our bouncer. He was in the hallway by the Staticom door, and anybody walking through to see Chip Coffee, Cody and Satori, you name it, he was going, "Hey, you want to come in here? You got to see this. You got to see this." and we filled the room up on and off for 2 days, and I have to believe that in large part has something to do with him.
Every hour on the hour, it would fill up because people knew
like 30 minutes, then we take 30 minutes of break. We would lecture, and then during the 30 minutes Staticom. The other thing is that when that happened, when we heard meatballs, I went, well, if there's any proof that somebody's telepathically coming through Staticom with Anthony in the room, that's where the meatballs came from.
That's awesome.
You guys know him and love him. He's he was it would not have been the same without him. It was awesome.
That's
okay.
so cool.
Did you have Scotty on there? Yeah. Scotty did an amazing job. And then he thanks us. Hey, thanks for letting me be a part of this. You sure it wasn't too much? I went, are you kidding? Did you not hear what just happened?
So cool. So cool.
That is cool.
And then we talk about that on here, right? Because like with Chris and Audra having intuitive abilities, tuning in this stuff, and then we're doing an electronics version of it, like the other four of us. And that was a perfect example to me as how those things not only corroborate each other or validate each other, but worked in tandem. Like it
worked well together.
It was perfect.
Yep.
That's awesome.
That is very awesome.
So,
Well,
but
I'm ready.
that said, it is nice to be back here with everybody.
yes.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
And we
Yes.
miss you, Shuri.
I know.
Yeah.
She-
We have
she-
one. We have a dedicated.
Here she
To
is.
answer your question.
Wow. Was that
The voice from beyond.
We do have a clip dedicated to her in our.
Oh yeah, we got
Yes, that's awesome.
You saw it? Did you see it?
Oh yeah, I saw it. It's great. And
All right, audience, you ready to see some shit?
Some shit.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Show the shit.
Yeah.
All right. So the first one we have up is Tony's Orpheum 1.
Nice. Let's
Sounds
do
like a science project.
it. It
okay.
does, and I'm sure it is.
Here we go.
All right, that's pretty good. Bessie, what do you like about this theater? It's what?
Okay.
The
Two
science.
things. One, I heard the static
Oh.
when you said, "What do you like about this theater?" The second thing is we never hear Tony Rathman come out of these methods.
No,
Never.
never.
So I don't know if you guys realize how rare of a capture that was.
That was just setup. We hadn't even started yet. I was just getting it up and running, and all of that was coming through. The coolest thing about Orpheum was that there were spirits that they knew were there, and literally I called out to multiple of them, and they answered me immediately. It was unbelievable. It was so cool.
That was dialogue-ish as it gets. I mean, that was
Mhm.
Well,
That's
and the Orpheum sits right in the center of historic downtown Phoenix, where the
Right.
original city was built. So I'm sure you were pulling shit in from other buildings, and
No doubt about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's another example of the non-locality of spirit, to come through. That was clear. And setup. What does setup mean? To you, it means something. Not to them.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
just
they were probably talking before you switched it on.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
experience side of side.
Yeah, there was all sorts of stuff going on that night. It was really cool. We had a shadow figure show itself on the stage stairway that went up to, I don't know, the upper walkway or another floor. I don't know exactly where it went. But Cherie saw it first, and she's like, there's a shadow figure up there. I saw the arm poke through the railing. And so I was watching and looking. Sure enough, I saw it too. And then we asked Staticom who was up there, and he said that was me. And we didn't say where it was yet. And Cherie said, where are you standing? He said, I was on the stairs. And we're like, oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
really cool. I don't know if I have that clip, but we have it. I just don't know if I cut it out.
Well, and part of the history that they don't talk about at the Orpheum Theaters, there was a stagehand that died on the catwalk.
Mm.
Oh,
Could have been him.
Oh.
Yeah, could have been him.
he changed it from Tony.
Got me all figured out.
Well, we're all changing it to that now, so we can also impress audiences with how often it comes out.
Right. Well, let's stick with the Rathmans and go with Ron Cherie is great.
Okay.
Let's stick with Team Rathman.
There we go.
Have you talked to Tony and Cherie Rathman this way? Cherie is great.
Agreed.
That's awesome.
She's
Agree.
great.
Awesome. I'd argue if I could, but I can't argue with that.
That's right. Truth from the other side.
That's right.
Go ahead and argue, Tony. I want to see a shoe come through that green screen.
It would
I can hear you guys.
Oh.
You're great.
Yes, the spirits think you're great because you have everybody shut up when you're doing EVPs.
That's right.
It's like Tony the Tiger's the one that says, it's great. It's like, it's great.
Yeah, that was, I think we were doing that session at home, and I was asking, because we hadn't talked in a couple of days, and sometimes Tony's all over the Staticom, sometimes he can't get to it for several days, he's busy. So I asked, have they talked to you this way? And then the voice goes, sure, he is great. I went, yes. Yes, she is.
That was awesome. So clear too. I mean, no mistake in what was said there. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was some of the commentary. Because a lot of the people, and you know this from your bringing it out now too, a lot of the people who ITC, and when we lecture now, I call this the ghost box and the spirit box the Q-tip of the paranormal, because a Q-tip is not actually a product; it's a brand. The cotton swab is the product, but it's become synonymous. So they know ghost boxes. They don't know this yet. And a lot of people were like, it's so much clearer and quieter. And I went, this is something from Europe that just got lost, man. Just, we didn't create it, but we worked on it and we developed it. And thanks. Todd and Carmelo, also excellent investigators, really cool people. As no warble should. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the warbles and artifacts thing to me is funny.
Yeah.
I think it's got a limited scope of how much you can put under the umbrella of that's what it is.
Agreed. But just the response rate compared to a spirit box, I would say is 5 to 7 times greater.
Oh, more than that.
Okay, more than that. Maybe more like 10. I don't know. I don't know the exact figure, but you can ask a question, and at times that answer will be there as if you were talking on a phone and get that answer right back. And I've never seen that happen like that through a spirit box. Staticom just has some very unique qualities to it.
I promise you guys this. You guys watch the Rathmans and Ron Lourdes long enough, and they'll have the spirits texting with emojis through Staticom.
LOL.
That's right.
I know.
That's funny. It's funny when you hear Tony's comments about spirit boxes and this stuff. It's not like Tony ever built spirit. Oh, wait, he did.
12 years.
Yeah. So that's an interesting thing, and I think that's an attribute. And I've told you this a bunch of times. I think that you bring to the research. I mean, we've used them, and we have a very, very solid understanding of how they work and what they can do. But you built them, and so you have a perspective going from one to the other. I think that's extremely rare.
Thank you. But I just want to let you know, out of 12 years of building them, I didn't sell a single one. Oh, wait, that's because I didn't try. That's right.
Yeah. Hey, David Taylor.
He gave one away.
Yeah.
Good. I did.
I
did give one away. Yes, I did.
Of course, now that's it's just a paperweight. Thanks, Tony.
Emoji.com.
Emoji.com.
But no, that was one of the things I loved when we started working together, was that, that was, if nothing, that is the most support for anybody in the field I've ever heard, when they go, I do research, and I'm not just hunting, I'm not just thrill seeking, I do research. And when you built that much stuff that cost you money, that your time went into, and you didn't sell any of it, that's research.
Yeah, it was for the research. We wanted to see what they could do. We wanted to see how we could improve it. And we wanted to determine, how they were actually communicating, what theory out there that was being proposed actually works. And well, right now that theory is white noise, because that's what Staticom runs on, and that's what's working. But
Well, I think it was always white noise. It's just that you guys all figured it out.
I think so. Yeah.
We pinpointed what needed to be changed. But, during those brief white noise spaces in between a scanning spirit box, that's normally where you get your spirit voices coming in higher or lower than the radio broadcast. Direct radio voice sat on a static channel, and that's where they got their voices. All we did really was remove the radio and find a way to make it speak without any radio. And that's one of the cool things. And of course, Ron's slowing it down and every other advancement that's been done to it. But
well, here's the best part.
It's almost fun to play with.
Yeah, you guys didn't just advance paranormal research and gave us all something to listen to that's so clear and good God phenomenal. But for people that are sensitive and intuitive, you brought us a level of sanity. Because we go out to an investigation and we're sitting there going, this is what I'm hearing, this is what I'm hearing, this is what I'm hearing. And everybody's like, I didn't fucking hear that. I didn't hear that. And people look at you like you're crazy. Now all of a sudden it's coming through your fucking box and it's like, ha, told you, ha, told you.
Yeah. So to David Taylor's question, which is a good one when we've had that come up before, ham radio. One of the things we did when we went to using generators for white noise versus radios, compliments of both Lourdes's realization in the zinc mine with no radio or cell signal, and then Tony's extremely ballsy move, which we told everybody about this weekend.
Everybody that story. That's a freaking great
everybody. So there are a bunch of people who came through an expo in New Jersey who know who the Rathmans are now, and we showed the trailer to everybody. But that was one of the reasons why we removed the radio from it, is because ham radio has human voices on it. Terrestrial radio doesn't on vacant ones, which we started with DRV using. But in order to elevate this process to make anybody cynical trying to debunk it age visibly in their efforts, we removed the radio. And it was through Tony's experimentation and Lourdes's realization from the mine that we realized we didn't need RF reception to do it. So you could probably produce it with a vacant channel on ham radio, AM, FM. I'm sure it's possible.
Yeah.
But
it would definitely be possible. I mean, static noise is static noise. You just run the risk of somebody saying, hey, you're picking up a stray channel because you're using a device that can receive reception. And we took out that so that we can't receive reception. So.
Yeah.
I could probably answer Scott's question where he's asking if it'll ever be in a portable device. So I can tell you what the Rathmans use and what Ron and Lourdes use are portable, Scott. They actually have less equipment with Staticom than you had set up Saturday night. The bigger question is will it be available? That's the big question.
Yeah, and David's one of the guys who wants to learn. He's been great with us. He's supported us. We've worked with him at a bunch of events. And we've had conversations with Tony Tree. We do want to make it available. We're discussing the when and how to do it. We may end up doing something like a consult where we could, put out a mapping of how to assemble and put it together. It takes a lot of time. Like to actually do a consult and walk through the entire process to set it up. Like Tony helped me get mine back up when I had to change computers and I thought I was fixing one problem and I was done. And was I mistaken? And there was a 2.5 hour video call and he's already doing it. When I set him up, it was the same thing. It was a couple hours. When I gave him new settings, it was like a 90-minute call to explain it and go over it with him. We've helped each other at length doing that.
Right. And it was a temporary fix, right?
Yeah.
And it took you another week or 2 weeks to really get it the way you had it before. So it's very time consuming, but we do want to have it available for people soon, when we can. We're just trying to figure out a way how to do that and how to provide it to the public.
And not losing the based on a methodology, not box or device thing. Because once you box and contain something, it's worse than like when you buy an iPhone and it's the best phone on the planet. And 3 months later, it's not. Because
Right.
if we make an advancement or we change something, we would make that available to anybody who was doing it also. And so when you have a boxed up setup, you can't tweak it and redo it. You have to buy a whole new. So we felt like if we keep it as a method and then maybe institute a way to put the mapping out there. Hey, Jonathan. Raul's another one. Yep, wants to do it. So we have a list, and we are definitely looking. Can it be done by the end of April?
But what's interesting is it's something I think that should be said. So if when we do eventually make the mapping available, there's always going to come a time when you may lose the voices, and that's when your intuitiveness comes in, because you have to, because it happens to us, you have to actually take the time and adjust things and kind of figure it out, because it does happen. It happens to us. It happens to Tony that sometimes you lose the voices and we don't know why. And we got to kind of go in there and adjust things and see how we can get them back. So that's something that people need to realize, that when the mapping is available, when those times comes, that's when you yourself have to really put in the work and try to figure out what happened, because it happens that we do lose voices sometimes.
Yeah. And everything they mentioned is also correct as far as why it hasn't been released yet. But the other third reason is because, I mean, literally since we transferred over to the white noise generator, that was only a year ago, because when we were at the Superstition Mountains this weekend, it was a year ago that I did that test you were talking about. So it's so new that our research isn't even complete with it, and making sure it's as good as it can be before we let it out there and let people experiment with it like we are. But it'll come. It's just trying to figure out those variables of when it's ready, when we're comfortable to say it's ready. And then, like Ron and Laura said, it's that patience, because you don't flip an on switch on and just, it can be a little trickier than that at times.
Yeah.
Y'all want to hear some more evidence?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we got Tony's Orpheum 2. Here we go.
Read it again. Did you hear it? All right, I'm going to ask for a particular spirit. Harry, are you here with us? That's his voice right there. Harry, are you here? Harry, can you say hello? Anybody else do that?
That's awesome. So I will tell you two things right off the bat. One, I want to go to a Rothman event because that place looked awesome.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
That place is phenomenal.
Yeah,
And
so
two,
cool.
we react the same way when bad words come through. We're like, oh.
I even asked if anybody heard it, and they didn't. And again, it's ear training. But Sheree and I both heard it. She's like, oh, F. But then we played the recording back, and sure enough, it's right there. So your ear does adjust. And when you're not familiar with it, that's the other curve to Staticom, is it does take some ear training to be able to pick out. Now it's a lot better than
which would also explain why certain people who aren't in the field that are skeptic might listen to it and go, that's garble and warble. Well, that's because you can't hear what we hear because you haven't been doing it as long as we have.
There's truth in that too. Right.
And you're a dumbass. Oh.
With consciousness, visibly and audibly, and I've talked about this a while ago on shows, there is what's called inborn pattern recognition, which is how we learn. It is a little bit of a different thing. The other thing I told people when we were lecturing in between sessions was a lot of communication. I think a high percentage of it is visual, right? So the visual part of it's missing. Like if I go like this, you guys know I want to talk, even if somebody else is talking. You don't have that. You don't have the point of knowing when to start listening. So if you catch the third word in the second syllable, you already don't know what some of the context or the whole message may be because you're coming in late. And it's like a surprise party almost anytime something talks. The cadence the dialogue pacing of like when Tony said something and then they answered him, that's when it gets easier because now you have conversational pacing, and that is something that we're used to for sure. The other thing, just to quickly address two other things with the Staticom thing and putting it out there, since this is a Staticom show, we would be more than willing to help. But the thing is that the amount of hours to do consults to fix anything that goes wrong or all the different questions would be difficult to do. We all do still work, so it would be hard to do that. We would be willing and to a degree doing it for sure. And the other reason I think that we're a little bit, for lack of a better word, unprepared for a release is that, like Tony's 11 years of ghost box building, it was never done to go to market. Ghost boxes are based on the builder's research and experimentation, but they're produced to go to market. These amazing people who build these amazing boxes don't sell you the how to build the box the way they do it. They sell you the box. Right. So it's a different process point of origin that we're coming from with this. And again, we do want to make it available. We just want to do it the right way at the right time.
Yeah. To answer your question, Todd, yeah, absolutely I have. And they remained that way for about 20 minutes, 22 minutes. And then they were like, oh my God, I can't believe what you're getting. Because they experience for themselves. And that's truly what Staticom needs, is for people to experience it firsthand. You can watch our videos all day long and, you know, people can say, oh, they manipulated it or they changed. You got to experience it right in front of it, asking your own question and getting your own answer. Only then does it really show and prove what it can do.
Well, and it falls in line to anybody that gets involved in the paranormal, period. You get people out there that are skeptical and they're cynics, and they go out and they go, okay, I'm here to do an investigation with you guys, but you're never going to convince me, until they have their first experience.
Right.
Once they have their first experience, they're flipping hooked. Mm-hmm. And then they're watching EVPE every week.
Kristen Cosme said something. She was with us this weekend.
It is true, because it's funny that he says that, because remember that gentleman at the PH Steakhouse? He didn't believe at all. First he had his first experience actually with Anthony upstairs in the Estes experiment. So something happened that he was like, whoa. Then he came to us and he started hearing stuff. At the end of the night, he was going, shh, they're saying something. He was a completely different person. Yeah. And it's true. You got to experience it yourself.
It's fun to watch them switch, though.
Yeah, it was.
I said, oh my God, this appears to be working. And then it continues to happen over and over. And then they're like, no way. No.
Yeah,
no way.
That's how he was.
Right.
I've had people argue with me and say, yeah, there's no such thing as ghosts. And well, you know what? I believe that there is. And I've been experiencing it my whole life. And I can take you places where I can make you a believer. And then they'll go, oh, no, I'll never go any place like that.
Why?
Yeah, it's terminology, too. I mean, people use ghosts, people use spirit, people use consciousness. And, we know we have conscious thought here on Earth as humans. The only thing I think that may break the modern scientific thought process is that consciousness survives death and lives on. And that's without consciousness, we would not be able to be having an intelligent conversation with a non-bodied entity. But we are.
The funny thing is about most of those people believe that there's a purgatory, there's a heaven, there's a hell, and your physical or your physical spirit, your energy spirit goes on to those places once your body goes. And it's like, okay, so you can believe in that, but you can't believe that you can come back,
right?
Or that you might stay here and not go,
right. This is why a lot of this.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Tony. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
Or you may have free will to go wherever you want.
Right. This is why. This is why I forgot what I was going to say. This is why a lot of the stuff that when we attribute stuff to consciousness, you can't mechanistically explain. Sorry, I had a mint. You can't mechanistically explain. I had to. Sorry, consciousness. Right. It's not a mechanistic process.
Right.
there are certain variables, like when you experience like the color red, and the way the vibration and the frequency of the color will hit us, and we'll have the same kind of unitary response to it or experience. But what the feelings, what's called qualia, the phenomenal experiences that you'll have, what that color may mean to you. It's your first car was that color, or someone you lost was wearing red the last time you saw them, or those are phenomenal individual self-egoic experiences that you cannot mechanistically explain with particles and reducing something down to the smallest measurable part. You can't. And when people say, and a lot of teams will say that their method or their way of doing things is scientific method is to take every possibility off the table. And then either if you can't prove something, you lean towards where's the most probable reason or cause for what's going on. The problem with that is that we can't assume that we know what every possible cause or explanation is. Exactly. We can only rule out every probable or possible way that something could be happening within what we know. We don't know everything. That's why this is the unknown. So you can't say that if we rule all these things out, it has to be warbles or something, because scientifically it's the only thing left. Well, the only thing left that you know.
Right. And there's so many variables in here that we don't know. And that's the part that gets overlooked. But you're absolutely right. Spot on.
But those same scientists are still trying to prove interdimensional string theory too at the same time too.
And string theory, ironically enough, a lot of people don't think is scientific in theory because of the fact that you can't falsify it. There's no way to go and test it and see whether or not that it's legitimately what you think it is. There's support for it. I know that there's a lot of theory or people who believe that it's legit for certain reasons, and they can support their positions on it. I mean, I don't know everything about it as much as we study it, but it is, by that definition, not something you can falsify, and that doesn't make it a little bit challenging. The accepted scientific mindset, a lot of times, it's become a neo priesthood. It's like they're infallible, that they know everything. Some of them don't have the right to the amount of reverence that they get. Some of them, I think, and because they have a title or an education, they get sometimes this infallibility shield where, because they're a person of science, whatever, they can't do any wrong, and clearly they're right. But I don't think that a title is the tell-all.
Correct.
For this stuff. And when you look at the amount of experimentation and work that lay people are doing.
Agreed.
How about some more evidence?
Yes, sir.
No doll is haunted.
Oh, I like this one.
This one was fun. I asked this one. I think this was one of the ones I did during the day.
All right, here we go.
How often are objects or dolls actually haunted? How often?
Wow. And what most people don't think about when they, you ask the question, you got the answer. But just the fact that white noise should have no vocal in it at all, shouldn't exist. Yet you asked a question without broadcasting your voice in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Simple human speech within the room you were standing. What object or doll is haunted? And the response came back immediately, no doll is haunted. When you try to compress that thought process, there should be no vocals, there should be no answers, there should be no intelligence, there should be no response. but yet the question, boom, the answer. That's what Staticom is. That's what it does, and that's what absolutely amazed me about it. Yeah,
that's very important. She explained that to every group that came through the expo for 2 days. Right? Yeah. You kept telling them, white noise, there's no data, get it through your heads.
You know what's interesting about that clip, though? Neither one of us was familiar with the word trist.
Treist.
Yeah, treist. I meant to say treist. We had to look it up. We're like, what the heck is that? And when we looked it up, it means like sad, sorrow situation. I was like, it goes with what's coming through with the content. So that was Anthony.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
Yeah, they were like, that is a treist.
And we're like, what the heck is that?
And I'm like, that's what the word is saying. And I'm like, I've heard this word. I do not know what that means. Like, wow, look at that.
I had that happen once too. I had a word. I'm like, I don't even know what that meant. I had to go look it up. But sure enough, it fit the situation, the response. And I'm like, okay, that clearly is intelligence answering.
Yeah.
To call something a treist. Yeah, to call it a treist is to say it's a sad situation. Pitiful, almost pathetic.
They taught us a new word. Yeah. We didn't even know what the word was. So, yeah.
Right. See what Roger said. This is I haven't met this guy, but I might even adopt him at this point. That is paramount. That's what I tell people all the time. Like we had one lady. There was drinking with dinner at the steakhouse place we did. And then they were serving drinks to people even throughout the investigation. We think it got a little bit Teresa Spanish for sad.
Well, triste, which I didn't even think about.
Wow. Thank you, Raul. Thank you for...
It's pronounced triste in Spanish, which means sad. Look at that shit.
Ah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Raul.
So we had one lady who was tipsy, to say the least. Let's just say she had an ongoing battle with gravity when she was on her feet, and she was losing by the minute.
The reason I laugh is I've been there.
Yeah, and it's okay, but not during an investigation. So she was sitting there, and people were hearing something going, "Wow," and asking questions and getting answers, and she's going, "Can you make it scarier?" She goes, "I need evidence. I need evidence." I went, that is evidence. There shouldn't be any voices there, as Roger said. It's white noise, and it's a closed circuit system. That's the other thing. We have to stop, and this is everybody in the paranormal. We have to stop trying to say we're doing something paranormal, supernatural, for at least for the time being, if there's an accepted laws of physics and science and sound and all that stuff, right, that we're governed by when people say, well, the science, we have to stop saying that this is something beyond the realms or explanations of science and then try to cram it into a materialist science explanation to prove it. We're saying that it exceeds that, and then we're trying to prove it to people by cramming it back into materialism where it doesn't fit.
Right.
It's a closed circuit system. It's white noise that's being generated. It's running through an interface. It's running through software, filtration. It's coming out of a speaker. There is no, according to the laws of physics with sonic booms or anything else, there is no entry point for an ambient or an environmental sound. So whatever is speaking through this is already violating sound and any other laws of science that we know of to even get into the process. We don't know where the entry point is.
Right.
We just know that there isn't one that we know.
Correct.
And it's just a misconception because she kept saying, you got to make it more real.
Yeah.
It's too fake. You got to make it scary. So she was associating it being scary to being real.
Yeah.
It's the whole cliche. If it doesn't scare the shit out of me, it's not real. Well,
right.
The problem is people tie emotion to the paranormal and spirits. And we've explained it to you numerous times on the show. It's just you're just taking the people out of their meat suit. That's all you're doing.
Right.
It's not scary. You're communicating with somebody like you would at the grocery store. It's no different. They're just people without the meat.
Right.
That's all it is. But people relate that because of everything they've seen on TV, and they need some kind of an emotional response in order for it to be real. It's not emotional to go to the grocery store, but that was real. You came home with a couple bags of groceries, didn't you?
See, but your instincts on that, Chris, are spot on, because that's one of the reasons why when we speak for ITC people, we're so much different as far as being very not just consciousness but philosophy based, because things like the feelings, like quality of phenomenal experiences, those are the things that you sense or are aware of when you're seeing, when you're hearing, when you're touching, when you're smelling. That's the phenomenal experience. Those are qualia. You don't explain that mechanistically, and they're individual to people. So those emotional states are different. Those sentient things are different. So I try to take that approach because I feel like we can't cram this into a reductionist, everything is measurable to the smallest particle approach to explain it, because it's already not explainable that way.
And there's people that do get emotional. They do get emotional reaction from it when they do hear the voices. But for this particular woman, I guess her emotional reaction for believing it was to be scared.
It has to scare the shit out of me.
Well, to answer that question, no.
Yeah, please.
With Staticom, no. Location doesn't matter. Haunted or not does not matter. Time of day does not matter. Makes no difference at all. If you turn Staticom on and start asking questions, doesn't matter where you're at, you will get answers and responses every single time.
And then to add to that, night versus day doesn't matter during an investigation, in my opinion. I mean, because the concept of time is a physical thing.
Right.
Once we move on, time makes no difference. There's no relevance to it. We got responses and doors slamming on us at 11 a.m. in the morning at the hospital.
Right.
I mean, and if you believe, I'm sorry, Chris, go ahead.
I was just going to say, half the evidence that I showed where I did investigations there by myself, it was 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. And I was getting just as much activity as we did at 2 a.m.
Right.
That's right. And if you believe that spirit is all around us all the time, then when you turn it on, you're going to get responses.
Right. And we always say that we can't consider anything a location haunted just on the strength of getting anomalous vocals, because we get them anywhere.
Right.
And that is another example what Tony and actually Chris had brought up about where we try to cram things into materialist science to explain them when they don't already fit in that bucket, is having a frequency, because people ask, what's the exact frequency? Is there a frequency that the ghosts come in on? If you're going to say that you don't think that linear time exists, frequency is oscillations per second. So if you don't have a measure of time against which to measure, how do you have frequency as we know it other than energy? Right. And maybe there is still waves and vibration, but it's to assume that you can calculate everything equally between like the metric system and what we use in the US. It's not, it's not an exact match if there even is a relatable way to, to convert.
Well, and I think that's the real key to broadband white noise, is that it's every frequency, it's every oscillation. So we are not limited to what they're sending. We literally can capture it all. Now, we had to tune it out, so we weren't getting them all at once, but they're all there, and we have the ability to capture all of it from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz.
And I don't think it's so much the other side per se that time of day maybe matters. I think it's us. I think nighttime heightens our senses. So I think people maybe are more relatable at night for, get the scary thing versus during the day. I just think, your senses, I think, are more heightened at night. So you become more sensitive yourself.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that's actually a really, really good point. Mm-hmm. Because from a consciousness standpoint too, right? Saying the brain and the body are within consciousness. Consciousness is not within the brain. So when you go outside during the daytime, the stars in the sky that you experience at night are still there, but you don't experience those. They're not amplified in your egoic experience, which is something you sense and go through, because those things are obfuscated by the sun, by the noise, by the activity you run around. It's not part of your reflective experience. So that what you're saying is completely why at nighttime there's less distractions. And for us on the physical side, we do have more environmental control. It's quieter. Mm-hmm. So that is probably where a lot of that heightened stuff comes from. The same reason that some mediums or people will use like a white noise or a meditation state, because you're trying to obfuscate the things that normally will pull focus and dial in differently.
And to answer Ton and Carmela's question, we've had instances where we thought it was possibly residual spirit coming through. Remember in the Shanley when it seemed like there was a argument going on, and it kept kind of like it would stop and then start again, like the same thing, and then it would stop and start again.
Similarly,
So we thought that perhaps that was a residual energy, and we don't even know how that could happen, but
possibly. If you think about
it,
go back to what we were just saying, what Audra just brought up. If we don't have linear time, or if it's not the same as here, it could be happening at the same time. It's not residual. It's just not intelligent because, you know, if you put somebody on speakerphone in a crowded room in a conference center and people are having lunch and BSing and stuff, the person on the other end could be screaming, "My house is on fire," and no one's going to hear it.
Right.
So it is possible that a lot of times, however we're connecting, we're picking up whatever's coming through.
What you're saying
and
is
it's not interacting intelligently, but it doesn't mean it's residual. It just means maybe we're
it's just
in.
happening at that time. Well,
Constantine Radove said that it sometimes feels like it's tantamount to that we're eavesdropping on the other side.
Well, exactly. And that's what I was going to say is that when we get an intelligent response, it comes through louder, clearer, and overpowers everything in the background. But could some of those background conversations be residual? I think they could. A residual is not going to be able to answer your question. It's just going to occur. And I think those may be the lower level ones. But when we get an intelligent response, it usually overpowers anything else going on in the background of the white noise.
That's true.
All right, you guys want to hear some more?
Yes.
Okay, please.
This one is not Staticom. This is Audra. It's a good example of consciousness. Audra at the Montgomery house, when all 6 of us were investigating it, she was doing her thing where she walks around and she talks to everybody but the physical people. And she actually got a response. So here we go.
Can you tell me your name? My name is Audra.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Accident.
So a male in the room apparently repeated her name.
That's awesome.
Very clearly so. Yeah, that's not residual.
No, it was intelligent. It was consciousness because he heard you say your name.
Yeah. The intelligence was not just the fact that it said her name. The intelligence was it knew it should respectfully answer her.
That's right.
Else.
She little, but she mean.
That's her house now. That's her house now.
It is my house.
Yeah. She was saying it was 40 degrees Saturday night when we left. And I was like, well, as late as it is, if we had a blow up mattress, we could just sleep here. And I'm like, If 40 degrees outside, it's 42 in the house.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Cold.
And no.
Now
I think
Chris
Mrs.
is
Montgomery would have.
Yeah, Raul, you're not kidding. Raul's fun. He's fun to work with.
I actually got touched for the first time Saturday night at the Montgomery house.
Oh.
Wow. What room?
It was James's room.
All right, I'm gonna I'm gonna question your intuitiveness. Who did you think it was?
Oh no, wait, it wasn't James's room. It was the Civil War room downstairs. I did not know who it was. It was cold fingers on my neck right here.
Wow.
And Scott's wife Heather was doing a ghost box kind of an Estes session where she could still hear what was going on, but she was getting the voices through she was carrying a laptop. Mm-hmm. And I went, who just touched me? I've said this before, I'll say it again. I get pissed when the spirits touch me. I don't like it. And a female voice came through, said I did. And I went, you're not allowed to touch me. Do not ever touch me again. And the same female voice came back and said, I'm sorry.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, not residual.
You mean too, huh? No.
You mean too.
Yes,
yeah. I have a wife. Don't touch me, bitch.
That's cool, man.
It's for me, it's weird. When I get touched, not only do I feel the hand and I feel the cold fingers, because it's always an ice cold finger feel. It's an electric shock for some reason. Every time I get touched, it feels like electricity shooting through wherever I get touched. It's always been that way. I don't like it. It literally pisses me off. I get mad.
Oh,
It's just an instant reaction. I don't know why.
good place, Kristen. We've had a lot of people on the show who give evidence from Fort Mifflin.
Raul, send that spirit to my house. A female touching.
She can touch me.
Raul is hilarious. Man.
Well, I can tell you right now, Raul, as cold as her fingers were, that's not usually something you want grabbing certain.
Yeah.
It doesn't work out for us in the pool. It's not going to work out for us with the fingers.
No, Shrinkergeist.
Shrinker guys.
Yes, I just made that up. Don't use it in Scrabble.
That's right. And if you do, it's a 27-point word.
Probably. Probably. I love stories like that though, too, because I remember the story you guys told when you guys first met at the hospital in Ajo, and Chris was like, "There's somebody standing over there, right?"
Yeah.
Oh, at the birdcage, yeah.
Oh, it's a bird cage. I'm sorry. Yep, that's right.
Yeah, that was a fun night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was fun.
We've had many of those, actually.
Yes, yeah.
Usually starts with ghosts and ends with alcohol.
Spirits of both kinds.
Spirits of both kinds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
360. Spirit 360.
That's right. Spirits until the sun comes up. All right. So the next one we got is another one from Tony. It's Orpheum 3. So here we go.
How many spirits are with me right now? How many? 8. 7 or 8. So there's 7 of you with us right now?
What?
Awesome.
Yeah, that's the thing. That is the farthest thing from residual I've ever
That was
heard.
funny.
So
Exactly.
I counted 1 female and 4 males that said 8, and then 1 female that 7. That bitch can't count.
But that's the one who said counting.
I'm counting. Yeah.
I'm double checking.
It takes me a while. All right.
She didn't count herself. That's what she was counting.
We were laughing because they answered him like 3 or 4 times saying 8, and then one of them said 7. I looked at her, all right, one of them left. And then the voice came back and he goes 8. I went, all right, they came back.
Yeah.
And there was a Tony Rathman in there before the end.
There was?
Yeah, I
Tony
believe
Rathman.
so.
I
I'm
didn't
okay
hear
with
that.
it
You want to listen to it again?
You know what? You guys can see us during the playback. The audience can't, but I'll do this or something when I'll point when I hear it.
All right.
Here we go.
You know, the words that they don't ever say. They're in there.
Right.
So,
Right.
Yeah.
so
You
rare.
know, that's twice we've had that rare one tonight.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
How many spirits are with me right now? How many? 8. 7 or 8. So there's 7 of you with us right now?
That counts.
twice.
Yeah.
I heard it twice.
That 7 might have been Tony Rathman, but it's there at least if that's
well,
not.
I think it's 2
There's
voices.
2
There's
of-
yeah.
7 and Tony Rathman, and then Tony Rathman
But
again.
then it was Tony Rathman again. I did hear it. I didn't
Mhm.
catch
Yep.
that the first time, but yeah, I heard it.
You know what it was? It was a guy going, Tony Rathman, please quit asking this bitch to count.
And so it's funny because a lot of the times the emphasis on what's amazing about Staticom and stuff that we go over is the length and clarity of the message thing, right? But sometimes even in a word, I mean, how much more in the moment do you want an anomalous voice to be than when he's asking about numbers? He keeps asking about numbers. The number changes and somebody comes through and says, counting?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That is as relevant as it gets.
Yeah.
Counting? That's amazing. That's amazing. That's why I showed up tonight to hear that. Good night.
Well, and it goes to the point that I've made a few times too, where sometimes they're physically in, well, not physically, but they are in the room,
Right.
or in a room together or an area together. If they're counting each other, to
Right.
see,
They would have to be, right. Exactly.
which which almost makes you feel that the dimensional realm thing might be happening to where we're in a physical space and maybe they're in a physical space and that's what we're picking up and they're in another room counting.
Very possible.
Maybe they're doing Scatacom on the other side.
Yep.
Never know.
Never know.
Well, we didn't show them.
Not yet.
Not yet. It's coming though.
We'll get you the mapping.
So this next one we got is Run and Notice. I am somebody consciousness.
Oh, did I send that one again?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I may have shown it once before, but it's pretty cool because we just the whole conversation about talking about consciousness.
Well, in your defense, I've seen your file. As many flipping clips as you have, it's pretty easy to click on the wrong one.
I may have. It was late.
Play it again. It's a good one. Here we go. You know what? That was actually a good one to show because it relates to everything that we've been talking about.
Yeah, I agree. But I don't like it when they feel they have to name drop to get attention.
Yeah. I was like, it's funny because when we show that at events and stuff too, we show them like the Tony Bocci, Tony's your friend one, and we tell everybody we have to call Tony and say, listen, your ghosts have to stop butting into our sessions all the time.
We started joking about it. I said, we gotta call Tony, man. Interrupting our session.
Those ghosts are racking up the frequent flyer miles, man. I tell you.
Right? It was so. Was it Scott that said that before about the individualistic part of when they were counting from Tony's clip? That's also fascinating too from a philosophical standpoint. That's if we're part of a collective unitary consciousness, but we have individuality. That would be, in a sense, like we are alters within what we're also a part of. You know, the same way it's a dissociative state, the same way dissociative personality would be, or a multiple personality would be more than one alter within the same individual. It's similar to that. We're connected to a consciousness that we're all part of, but we are individual alters within that. And that's where our own personal experiences and stuff come from.
Right.
It was Gio who said it.
Hope that's just noise. I don't hear anything.
Yeah.
Well, it also relates to the theory that our body is just a vessel that we leave behind when our spiritual consciousness moves on.
Yeah,
we're still an individual. We've just left the meat suit because it expired because we wore the shit out of it, right? Which most of us do throughout life. So
yeah,
that was for me though. That was one of my favorite things that we've heard in a while from anybody's evidence. Just the fact that he was going over numbers. And they give him different numbers, and then it changed, and then somebody says counting. That even speaks to the situation. 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 7, 7. Did he leave? Phil took off. 7. No, he's back. Phil's back. 8.
2, 3, 4. Hold on, counting.
Yeah,
that's freaking awesome.
What's awesome about that clip is it doesn't only show that there's consciousness and that there's still the individuality, but it also shows the personality aspect of it too, because it was the same voice that said 7 and then went, "Wait, I'm counting."
Right. Right.
Yeah, that's
the intelligence behind it.
Yeah,
you can't deny because they had two different numbers. Well, two different numbers from one lady, and then she said they're counting like she was verifying. So that's you don't get that from warbles and artifacts, and you don't.
No,
you know what? The theory behind that though is really scary because all you people that will be paranormally investigating once I'm gone, if I take this personality with me, you guys are in deep shit.
Oh yes, Gio said that. Yes, I know. That's funny.
All right,
But that's half the fun. That's half the fun of being on the other side, Chris.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, I'm making a big deal of that clip for that reason, because I think a lot of times we emphasize so much the amazing length and clarity of the voices and stuff, but that's not a long message. All the words in that are short messages, but the situational and intellectual relevance to that clip is insane.
You know, you make a really good point there. They were short, one-word answers, one at a time. But when you back up to a 40,000-foot view of the conversation, it totally changes the aspect, even though you weren't getting long sentences, which Staticom can do, but you got the feel for, you know, there was some miscommunication of how many were there, and they were trying to verify, and that's amazing to me.
You nailed the right word, but it wasn't what you were emphasizing. You said a 40,000-foot view of what?
I don't remember what I said.
A conversation. And that's what I'm getting at. That was a conversation. And not all conversations have these long, drawn-out answers to them. That was a dialogue. And that's what makes that amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is, no doubt about it.
Yes, it would more than likely be an F-bomb, but I guarantee you will know it's me. I won't need a code word.
I believe that.
Yeah. All right, next one we got is Enclave. This is a big one. Is this Tony?
Yes, this was actually at Roger's work, which is assisted retirement living kind of facility.
Okay.
And but they were very interactive. They were super interested. And it was a great event. So yeah, this is a couple minute, I think. I think it's my last clip, but
you got Orpheum. You got two more Orpheums.
Oh, are you? Okay, cool. But yeah, go ahead and play it. This is we were with Roger this day.
All right, here we go.
Awesome. Again, there's no radio here. There is no voice data. There is no nothing to be able to produce voices. Spirits, can you hear me? Yes. Can you tell me your name? As clear as possible. Can you tell me your name? Was that a yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Say your name for me, please. Spirits, what color is my shirt? That sounded like white. It was whispering. Did you say white?
Spirits, can you please tell us where we're at and what's the name of the building?
The connection grows the longer it's on. We've literally had conversations that have lasted 7 minutes. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Yes.
Who's currently in the Sky Lounge? No. There's no people over there right now, Roger. Asking the spirits.
Spirits, do you have a message for anyone here?
Yeah, I heard Jim.
I heard Jim. Anybody here named Jim? That's a deep voice.
Yeah.
I gotta move away from the speaker. It's so close to my ear I can't hear what's being said. Do you not want to answer questions today? Yes, okay. Can you say my wife's first name? Hear it? Well, one more time, spirits, loud and clear. Okay, you're saying yes, but let me hear you say her name.
Sherry.
You hear it?
It's a Sherry.
Right there again. Sherry, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Spirits, do you know what today's date is? Something 8th, but I didn't hear what it was after. You did hear 28th? I heard the 8th part of it. I heard
That's nuts.
It is.
That was
At the
October 28th. We were doing that, so they nailed it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that Saturday that we showed up. We arrived on the 27th. So yeah, it was the 28th.
It was the 28th, and they absolutely nailed it.
What's amazing is in the beginning, you said, "Spirits, do you hear me?" And there's a scratchy old man's voice going, "I hear you."
I didn't
Right
hear
at the beginning. Yeah, right at the beginning.
Don't replay it; it's too long. But I'll go back and listen.
Yeah, right at the beginning.
Was there a Sharon in the room or no? Because that was clear. Sharon is thinking.
Oh man,
I don't know the answer to that. Maybe Roger can answer that. Roger, was there a Sharon in the room? Because clearly, loud and clear, Sharon is thinking. So I don't know if there was anybody there named Sharon.
That was
and that second Cherie.
Oh yeah,
undeniable.
Yeah,
undeniable.
Yeah,
if you warble away your wife's name, that's amazing.
It ran very well.
Yeah, I think.
And this weekend, yeah.
That was good.
What's awesome about that is it was entertaining to the people sitting there. You could hear them laughing and enjoying it and having a good time. Yes, there was, Lourdes, a Sharon.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because that was clear. I mean, that was There's no trying to figure it out. It sounded like no.
Well, it's interesting because it said get up and think. And maybe she processed that or heard whatever. And then it says Sharon is thinking. Right? Sharon is thinking.
Yeah.
That's great.
You know what I enjoyed most about that? And this might come out wrong. So
he looked at his wife first, just so don't kill me later.
I do that quite often, and I'll get
getting permission.
Yeah.
So what I was going to say is, imagine people in assisted living at that age, towards the end of their life, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just provided them with hope that as close as they are to the end, it's not over.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
And the amount of interest that was given. I mean, even when we were packing up, people were asking questions, and it was great to see that. It just felt really good to have them really be interested. They want us to come back and do it again, and so that's super cool. So thanks,
that's very cool. And Chris brings up a very, very important humanitarian side of this stuff. Like we were mentioning, the profound moments you give people. That's really cool that you brought that up, because that hadn't even occurred to me in that sense for where they are. But that's really a beautiful side to what was going on in that scenario. I love in the beginning how Tony said it's not a radio. We still have people who go, it's amazing what to do. We can do the radio with them. We're going to do the radio, and we have to keep. And I hate to correct people and be nitpicky, but if you're doing something. You know, if you're creating fire by snapping your fingers and go, wait, do you see what he does with the lighter? It's not a lighter. The magic is the fact that I'm doing it with this. You know what I mean? The magic is that it's not a radio. So we
got to clarify that. But like you said in the beginning, and I remember having this conversation with you 2 years ago, whatever it was, but you said, you know, I'm a stickler on definition and terminology, because if that gets mixed up, everything gets mixed up, and the whole process that you did falls apart. So yeah,
we confuse our own narrative, and then it gets muddied up, and then you're not. This is something that is, for lack of a better way to say it, groundbreaking, but how it's working. So you can't, if you dispel, and that, your experimentation, her realization of not having a radio is huge, because everything in spirit communication with every box is always on the concept of that you're getting
radio
something in through the RF or the carrier, and that turns that whole concept on its head. So that's like a huge thing to not just go, oh yeah, let them say radio or something. No, that's one of the things that's advancing this.
Right.
Okay, I'll be quiet now. Next clip.
All right, so the next one we got Staticom Compilation 2.0.
Okay, that was our longer one. This is like the last compilation thing. I did a couple of things together. A quick side note: my son's mom, my ex, her name is Julie Falcon, and I think she believes more in this stuff than she lets on to, but she's very, like not into ghosts, doesn't think, So I tried sometimes with people like that to see if I can get their names to come out, just so I can play it for them. Guess what?
That's a ha. All right, here we go.
Is your name George? Yes. We all got George. George was the name we all got.
Yeah, we did. Can somebody say Julie Falcon clearly?
Can people communicate with us with this method when they're sleeping, their consciousness? Can they do that? Do we decide what happens to us when we get to the other side? Never. No choices for us?
What month are we in right now? Is there a holiday coming up? What holiday? Halloween. Thank you. We all heard that. Thank you so much.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
I mean, I'm not that. I mean, we always dance.
We can see you.
I know. I know.
But
Now we
thank
can
you.
figure out a way to share it so the audience can see it too.
One of these days they're gonna.
Tony will do it on the
capture-
next blooper show. It'll show up.
Yeah.
You just flip it back on in the middle of while they're talking. You just flip them back on their screen. And
I know that's go. Oh, freeze up.
those were great clips, though.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just
Thank you.
fantastic.
Yeah, they were fun. I got my ex's name to come out, which I
Yeah,
thought
he was very happy.
I
about
thought that was cool. I've asked before. First
And it
time.
was clear.
It was.
Clear as can be.
What did
That's
she think of it?
I haven't showed her yet.
He hasn't shown her.
Oh.
He will.
Yeah, I will.
She doesn't watch the show?
No. Imagine if you were forensic team would walk into a room with a portable version of Staticom and they asked the C spread to name the killer. Nobody and no psychics needed. Listen, when we go to TV deals, Raul's our pitch guy.
But he's putting all those sensitives out of business, though.
Yeah, that's true. We need both.
It does work well. With
Yeah.
both.
So this next clip is interesting. I like this one. This is the six of us at the Montgomery house again. This was the down in the courtroom. My audio recorder, Cherie and Lourdes are talking, and you'll hear a female hum, and you hear Cherie ask Lourdes, "Did you hear that?" And you say, "I was singing in my head." But we actually got an EVP. I don't know if we caught you singing in your head or if it was a female humming, but we caught it.
I bet the female was picking up on the fact that she was humming in her head.
Yes, let's see. I wouldn't
Here we
see.
go.
Maybe I recognize the song.
That's my guess.
All right, here we go.
Somebody singing. I was singing in my head. You're singing in your head? I was. Seriously, I was.
Wow,
right
that's
after
cool.
the female humming, you can hear Cherie whisper to Lourdes,
Yeah.
"Did you hear that?"
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
okay.
The whispering you hear right after the humming is
Yeah,
Cherie
Cherie.
asking you if you hear it.
There's a couple of EVPs in the beginning. There's a very clear hey in like the first second or two. And then there's another one just before Cherie says, "Do you hear that?" Somebody says something. I can't remember what was that.
See, I think that's what I heard. I heard like something before.
Yeah, there's another voice there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So to set the stage, all the bumping and thumping you're hearing are me and Ron upstairs setting up the tables for Staticom.
Oh, that's when that was?
Yeah. And I don't know where Audra was, but she doesn't hum. And I don't know where Tony was at that point.
I was probably out smoking. But is that when Ron got James to answer and then freaked out?
No, it was before. No, that was before. That was before he had Staticom set up. We were putting the tables up. All that thumping you hear upstairs is us setting up the tables and chairs. Yeah. Oh, you were upstairs with me and Ron.
Okay.
Yeah. So I thought that would be cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Very.
Because it was louder than them when they spoke. I know
Yeah.
Cherie whispered a little bit, but even when she spoke, it was louder than that.
Well, and if I won't play it again because we still have 5 more clips, but if the tonality of the hum doesn't match Cherie or Lourdes.
No.
I would agree.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
I agree.
All right, next one up, we got Orpheum 4.
Yeah.
All right. You hear that noise because it's a white noise generator. So there no radio can come through, no interference can come in. When you hear that sound, that's usually when they're coming in and out to interact with the machine. Is Harry still here?
Yep.
Wow.
That is
That was
cool.
a short clip. Holy cow.
But direct responses.
Yeah.
Both.
So, Tony, correct me if I'm wrong. You guys are in front of the seating before the band pit on the stage, right? You're right there down in front where the clearing is? Okay.
Correct. Yes.
That setup was cool, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very.
I felt like telling you we filled every seat, but the seats were not the big.
I was going to say, Jesus.
We filled every seat.
Well, not with humans, but it sounded like it was with at least 8 others.
So what Tony, what you're not seeing in the video is there's a section of seating to the right, a section of seating to the left, and then you've got the center seating. There's hundreds of seats next to those people, and that doesn't include the balcony up top. Yeah, that doesn't include the balcony. That place is phenomenal. I wish we could have gone down there with them. That would have been so cool.
So cool.
Now it's phenomenal for a whole different reason. That's amazing.
I will run Catacom there anytime they ask. That was awesome.
That was cool.
That might be worth another flight to Phoenix.
Seriously.
Yeah, I've been wanting. We've been there 4 or 5 times.
I
and
wish
every
you guys
time we're
had-
there,
I wish you guys had said something before we left. I would have been like, "Come with us."
we couldn't. That was the day of the party. That was the day of our granddaughter's first birthday party. So we couldn't.
Okay. Understood.
Every time we've been there, I spend more time looking around the theater because the energy in the theater is so awesome than I do watching the 12-year-old Nutcracker. Not meant that way, but all right. The next one we got up is LeBlanc.
So this one was fun. This was how Tony presented the clip before. That was during setup. This is right before the expo opened at 10 a.m. Sunday, the second day. And Ronnie LeBlanc from Expedition Bigfoot has been wanting to join us. He's seen us do it a little bit in the Mass Paracon a year ago. And we've stayed in touch and everything. And so we kept saying, you got to come in the room with us. And he goes, well, if my wife comes, she'll stay at the table. Well, she didn't come. And he's very popular. He's a really, really nice guy. And he was very busy at his table. So he didn't get a chance to come. But that morning on Sunday, like 10 minutes or 15 minutes before the expo started, nobody was in the room. I ran Staticom just to make sure we were good to go. And then I go to the trailers I have 3 trailers for the docuseries running in a loop while people are coming in and out. I'll lower it. We'll talk. So I run it for the 15 minutes. And you'll hear, it's funny. You hear Anthony Simonelli say he's going to go pee. I went, yeah, go pee and then go get LeBlanc.
Yeah.
And then a voice came through the speaker and said his name. And then I clipped it and I brought my little JBL speaker and I ran to his table. I went, you just got called out. And I played it for him. He was like, what?
He was the little kid like Tony.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The LeBlanc.
Very much so.
All right, here we go.
Listen. No, I heard now. Listen.
I'm out here. I'm gonna take a pee. I'm gonna tell them about this.
Go pee and then go get LeBlanc.
LeBlanc.
He said it. Oh, I heard it.
That's cool.
Awesome. That's so cool.
Big
So
surprise
cool.
when it happened.
I just love saying his last name, LeBlanc. I like it.
You could hear the blue and blanc and the unk at the end of his name. Like it was pronounced.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I ran out to his table with a speaker.
You got to do that.
You won't come to the Staticom. The Staticom will come to you.
Right.
That was one guy that Anthony missed. Should have drug him in there too.
We were telling Tony, I think this is funny. We were telling everybody after the sessions when they left, and people were like, "Whoa!" And somebody was in tears. Over, we said, "Go tell the Ghost Brothers, Dustin Parry, the Ghost Hunters. Go tell them they need to go into the Staticom." Right? We kept telling everybody to go bother them. Go tell them to come back here. Everybody for 2 days.
Cool.
I threw this next one in. It's just a quick clip. We were all outside at the Montgomery house. This happens to me every time. It happened to me on Friday. So after I got off work on Friday, I drove out there to prep the house for PPIT for Saturday night. And while I'm in the house cleaning, I think it was Sarah, you could hear little footprints, little footsteps. Like when we first went into the house, running upstairs. Well, we caught it. If you guys listen really close, turn your speakers up. This one's kind of light, but there's footsteps upstairs. Here we go.
Yeah, I heard it.
Oh yeah, you can hear it. Oh yeah.
I was like, where? I didn't hear shit.
Where?
I heard it twice.
Yeah, I heard it. In the middle.
Those were heavier footsteps than what I experienced on Friday. I was there about 5 o'clock Friday afternoon, last Friday, prepping the house and fixing stuff around the Montgomery house. And I was downstairs and I was sweeping up some of those damn dead bugs. But and
we have.
I hear across upstairs, and I'm like, okay.
Wow.
And then I'm upstairs and I'm doing the same thing, and it sounded like somebody slammed a door downstairs. And I went downstairs and none of the doors were shut.
Yeah, Scott.
What do you say?
What do you mean it was light? I heard it.
Yeah, Audra.
Did I hear a giggle? That's funny.
You might have.
I was going to say, we had people from a couple people came to the expo from California. There were a couple of people who were from North Carolina, so we very much dove into the Montgomery house a little bit.
Thank you.
And told them about it. Yeah.
So, Chris, that one that you just played, were you there by yourself?
No, that was when the 6 of us were there, but we had finished our setup and we were all standing outside.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
No, but when I was there Friday, the same shit happened, except it was more active than that clip. But
wow.
But I didn't have a recorder going, which I probably should. When I'm in there by myself, I should have a recorder going. But
yeah, especially with stuff like that happening.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, I would have loved to have captured what I heard on Friday. That would have been awesome, because it literally sounded like a little kid running across the floor upstairs when I was downstairs, and then that door slam, like, you know me, turn my head, go downstairs, and there's nothing. There's no door shut. It's like, what the hell?
The footsteps are interesting, especially like a little like running kind of a thing, because it's. I'm hard pressed to think of a lot of naturally occurring environmental things that would create that same sound, where you could be mistaken. Like what else would sound like that? I mean, if there's something, I can't think of it, but.
Yeah, sorry guys, I deleted it already. I'll send it to you, Scott, if you guys want to hear it again.
This message will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
But yeah, there's nothing environmentally that would cause the sound of something running down that center hallway.
That's what I'm trying to say. I can't think of anything.
Yeah, so you guys have been to the house. For everybody watching, the house is the old shotgun style. Well, not shotgun style. It's the 4x4 house that they used to build back there, perfectly square. 2 rooms on the first floor, back to back like this. 2 rooms on the second floor, back to back like this. And then in the center hallway, in the center, there's like a foyer that goes from front to back of the house. And the reason they built the houses that way is so they could open up the back door, the front door. And they had a second door on the second floor above the front door that they could open up. And then every window in the house, in the rooms, are directly across from the doorway. And the reason they did that, no electrical, no AC, they could open up the windows, they could open up the doors, and they'd get cross breezes through the house to keep the house cool.
Right.
So that center hallway is about, 20 foot long and 8 foot wide?
Yeah, it's big.
Yeah,
and none of the windows open because they have been caulked and nailed shut because they're the original windows, and you don't want people opening those things up from, windows put there in 1830. You don't want people moving them around. So there's no cross breeze that could have caused something to do it. The hallways are completely empty. There's nothing physically in there that could have caused the sound of a running child running across that center floor or the second floor.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah,
I hear it every time I'm there.
Yeah.
And it's when I'm in the house by myself or when we first get there, it always happens. It's like Sarah's running to her room. It's weird.
Yeah. She's like, they're here.
Yeah.
Let me go to my hiding spot so I can talk to them later.
All right, next one, Orpheum 5.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
He said, Bob Meyer, you're okay. Is Bob Meyer there?
He is. Yes. Does his father know he's home?
Those were clear.
I'm going to repeat myself, and I'm going to say it again. That is not impressive because of the length of the messages that we harp on so much. That was a freaking dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
That was a real-time back and forth.
And so clear.
Straight up. That's amazing.
There was a gentleman in the audience that his father had passed away, and he said his name, Frank Meyer, I think he said. And he said, does my father know I'm back home? And that was what he answered. And then he's like, thank you.
Yeah.
Is he here? Yes, he is. Immediately. Are you kidding? Like that?
Right. Yeah. That's incredible.
That's really good. That's really good.
I like the thanks.
It's so important to the establishment of a back and forth of dialogue is like, because that makes the timing and relevance thing even more of a pain in the ass for someone who goes, well, those are warbles, or you're not communicating. So now I'm getting warbles that are coming in the time and relevant for conversational pacing, and between that it was quiet.
Right. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That is awesome.
Two clips with strong established dialogue. That's huge. That's really cool.
It's fantastic.
I knew he was going to do it. I knew it. That guy is hoaxing. I knew it.
Expect more from Rathman.
Yeah. No, that's really cool.
Yeah, Roger's right. The guy confirmed he was home too. So it was a great experience, and I'm sure he was like, oh my God, because everyone was, they, after that they're like, he said yes, and he said he knew you were home, and they're like all repeating to him what they heard.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So you found
what's really cool is when Tony leans forward, the "Stay Haunted" on his hat because of the green screen shows knowingly talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There.
It's so funny though, because that sign's behind me based on how this works. My chair is blocking it, but I can go underneath and it still shows through. How does that work?
Yeah.
I think because the green is having it bypass the imagery that's in front of it, including the chair.
Right. Anything green is going to show up with the image, but there's no projection up here, so it's just. But yeah.
But yeah.
I was going to say, were you finding, and I would guess, because this is what we experienced a lot, you had to have had this happen where you could see it in their faces or their reactions, like multiple people were hearing every one of those things when it happened, right? Those clear responses. Yeah. See.
Yeah. So what does it take for us to sit at the cool kids table like with you guys?
We're still waiting for seats there.
Yeah,
we're the old kids.
We're the old kids.
Well, we'll definitely announce when we're ready to do some sort of release. But like I said, and Tracy, you and I talked about this. Was that Saturday, Sunday? Sunday.
Sunday.
We just don't know what that is yet, and we don't know what it is yet because there's too many variables still involved. And like Ron was saying, it's not where someone who builds a spirit box turn around and can sell that box and still continue what they're doing. Ours is a method, and that method we have to make sure is going out to the best of its ability. And we haven't really, we've made so many changes in the amount of time that we've been working on it that it's constantly evolving. And that's one of the reasons why we're just not sure yet when that release is ready. And so that's part of the problem.
Yeah. And it's important to us too, because we have years in the bank on this. This is part of our legacy. I mean, before we start, propagating this out as a tool, we want to, I think, also establish a foothold of the fact that this is our work. This is what we spent years and dollars on trying to figure out and develop. And for me, one of the big passion points about this was that for us with Rec Radio Voice too, it started out of an inadequacy. I wasn't building boxes, And I found a path through looking at the people who came before us and was amazed at what they were doing, and nobody was trying to replicate that. And then I saw, well, Dr. Annabelle Cordoza's not sitting there with a soldering gun. She's sitting there with a radio and white noise. And I went, we got to try. We got to try. And we've developed it differently now, of course, and we have some more tech on it. And then it has even, you know how people say like they think like extraterrestrials involved because like technology leaped forward really fast? That's what happened when Tony and Shuri got on board. We had developed something and moved it forward, and then they got on board and the advancements happened even faster.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of change, even just since that point. So
that's why we get along with them so well. They're aliens.
Oh.
That's funny.
He did have the green showing through.
All right, we got one last clip. Hello, Dave.
So this was fun. So at the end of the second day of the expo, the New Jersey Power Unity Expo, yesterday, Dave Schrader has kept his word. He's like, I'm going to come back and see what's going on. He'd heard about it a lot. And so he wanted to, so I could show you a couple of clips real fast because we had to get out of there shortly after 5 p.m. And this is like 4:50. And he goes, look, can I hear it live? I went, yeah. And then I showed him one or two clips afterwards, but he want to hear it live. And this is just a small snippet of it because it was clear. But he literally asked me to send. He had a dialogue. He asked, it's not on this clip, but he had asked something. He kept hearing second. He goes, I'm hearing second. He goes, you hear that one? Yeah. He goes, second what? He asked the spirit. And he goes, second message. And he goes, all right. So what did you say? Like, it was inside of 10 minutes. He was having a conversation standing in front of us. I mean, it was
so
perfect.
cool.
It was good timing. This is a snippet of the beginning of that.
All right, here we go.
Can somebody slowly, clearly say hello, Dave? That was it, right?
Awesome.
That was awesome.
And he heard it.
Yeah.
He heard it.
Oh, yeah.
She says yes. At first it says yes.
Yes,
And then
yeah.
hello, Dave. Yeah.
And I think I missed it. There's supposed to be a C in his last name. She pointed out. I typed it and then I fixed it because I moved the words on the screen to position it. And I think I screwed it up. I got to go back and fix
there's a C in there.
the misspelling his name just in case anybody knows. Don't tell him.
So for those of you that don't know Audra very well, you see me laugh and look at her. I said the clip is hello, Dave, and I get this whisper in my ear, Dave's not here, man.
I have a weird sense of humor. I'm
So
sorry.
I'm getting Cheech and Chong commentary.
Dave's not here.
Not here, man.
Yep,
So,
yeah.
so if you guys saw her lean in, she's like, Dave's not here, man.
She's funny.
Dave's not here, man.
Well, it's funny.
Nice little way to end the expo. You got to hear it.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's awesome.
What you guys got coming up next week? Or this week? Yeah. Over the next week.
This week,
I don't think we have anything this coming weekend. I actually might take my son to a comedy club again.
Yeah, I think that's the plan.
Yeah, I don't think we have anything.
What you got going on?
We have a bunch of stuff we got to take care of, but none of it, unfortunately, has to do with any of this stuff. So I guess a weekend break, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to do the same thing. We haven't stopped for 2 weeks now. So it's not all been paranormal, but it's been partially paranormal.
Yeah.
Well, Saturday we're.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
Okay, that's all I had to say.
Saturday we're doing what's the name of
The
the
Ghost Host with Sophia Temporelli. It's a radio.
Yeah, that's Saturday.
She's a sweetie.
Yeah,
pie.
She is a sweetie pie.
Yeah.
Sweet. I knew her when she was a kid. I did the Glen Tavern Inn years ago when I lived in LA before we met, and she was there with her parents. She was like, I mean, she's still a young woman, young girl, but she was a kid. So I still see the kid when I see her, even though I see she's growing up, and they were very nice people. Very nice people. We had stayed in touch. So we're doing her show Saturday. Then the 13th, Monday, we're doing a library event in Lodi, New Jersey. 17th, a few days later, Speedwell Village in Morristown. And then the 18th on Saturday, the Paris Summit
with Frank O'Dale,
Frank O'Dale
and the people
Jim
at
Colucci, at Paris
Ritz,
at the Ritz Theater.
The Ritz, yeah, the Ritz
Oh, wow.
Theater.
Very cool.
So,
Very
but no paranormal stuff other than an hour or so radio show Saturday.
On Saturday, yeah.
Cool.
Very
And
cool.
everybody needs to check that out too, because Sophia's been doing that since she was 15, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I met her maybe just before that, before she started the show. I forget what year it was when I had met her at the Glen Tavern.
Well, she's in her 20s now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, she's been doing it for a long time, and she's really awesome. We've been on the show. Tony, Cherie, and Audra and I were on the show together with her, and then Audra and I have been on, and Tony and Cherie have been on. They're awesome.
Yeah, she does a good job. She's had great guests, obviously, as you just pointed out on the show, and they're nice. Like, they're nice people. I was glad we got to stay in touch with them, because I remember when I met them there, they were very sweet people.
Yeah. Your dad's a good dude too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We've had him on. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, it's been a while.
All right, guys. I know that was a long show, but hey, we've been gone for 2 weeks, so we made it up for it to you. So
we kind of did.
Yeah, made up for lost time. We will be back again, everybody. Thanks for coming out. We will be back again next week with PPIT.
Woo.
First ever, I'm spoiling it, first ever private home investigation where the actual homeowner is going to be on the episode next week to tell us a portion of her experience, and with some evidence caught at the house. And Audra and I were involved in that investigation. We did the house cleansing at the end, so that'll be a neat show. So
very cool.
Yeah, and that's awesome.
Yeah,
should be a really neat show. All right, guys. One thing I do have to say, Friday is Veterans Day. Make sure you take time out of that day to thank a veteran, put your flags out. Make sure you take time to respectfully pay homage to the guys that never came home, that went out there and paid the ultimate sacrifice so that we can all be free. We can all sit at our dinner tables and eat dinner. Veterans Day is a huge day. These guys, anybody that's been in the military understands, but anybody that hasn't been in the military that doesn't understand, just being in the military alone, these guys sacrifice tons of family that's in the military. Our son's in the military. I used to be in the military. It is huge, the respect that we have for these guys. So make sure on Friday, on Veterans Day, you take the time, put the flag out, show the respect to those guys. They deserve it. Those guys are the guys that stand post, say, we will take care of you so you can sleep tonight, and we will put our life on the line for our country. So don't forget them. Never forget those guys, ever. So make sure you have a good Veterans Day. Make sure you thank a veteran. Make sure you put the flag out. Make sure you take the time to respect those that went to fight for this country and never came home. Oh, thank you, Kristen. And remember, if you want to have Staticon, you got to attend an event with the Rathmans or Ron Lourdes. But most of all, if you want to capture evidence and you want to hear the responses that we get from those that have left us into the other realms, into their spiritual energy, and left their meat suits behind, you have to stay haunted. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Have a good week, y'all.
Can you give me a name? What's your name?